Privyet, my friends. Archangel here. Well, it's official. We despise males. But why? And what exactly is a male? Is male a moniker merely given to a body that is attached to penis and testicles, who spends the rest of their lives serving the bodies attached to uteruses whom they trail in value? When we break it down, is male and female merely descriptions that we give to specific reproductive genitalia? Well, let's twist our minds just a little bit. Actually, how about a lot of bit? Now, some may disapprove of the gender bending I intend to do here, but don't hate me, I am just the messenger, reporting on what's already happening. So, let's head off the reservation, and I will most likely lose most of you before the end of this discussion. But in order to understand the sexes, we need to understand gender, how it has been, and to twist it to see what happens. I'm like a gender particle collider, and so I happily tweak reality into a pretzel for your consideration. Now, stay with me here, because there is deep implication behind the themes of what is contained herein. Okay, so, after some scrutiny over the years, I have come to observe a couple things. When it comes to procreation and salvation, males seek out biologically genuine females with uteruses and mammaries, because these are the items necessary as procreative vessels, and they are also the very items that we hail and worship as the holiest of goddess divinity. So when it comes to sexual indulgence for procreative purposes, guys are obviously driven by instinct because they need certain opposing reproductive anatomy to make procreation possible. Nature needs the real McCoy, thus nature drives the lion's share of heterosexuality. However, outside of strict procreation, well, sexuality and desire is a free-for-all grab bag. Nothing is static. You see, we inhabit a place now where we can mingle sexuality and technology, and thus it is here that we begin to break down attraction, social constructs, and gender paradigms. And rightfully so, it's about damn time that we find new paradigms beyond strict hot or cold, positive or negative, Republican or Democrat. Everything is not simply a 1 or a 0. The human animal contains many gradations of everything. After much observation and introspection, I appropriately posit that what humans base their physical attractions on are secondary sexual characteristics, not necessarily genitalia. Ooh, I know that's a bold statement, and if you understand that statement, you understand the far-reaching implications. So essentially, that statement infers that, for example, with procreation off the table, if you are attracted to females, you are really attracted to the so-called feminine, which means female secondary characteristics. Huh? Characteristics? What? Well, you see, you have sexual anatomy, meaning a penis or a vagina. Then you have secondary sexual characteristics, bodily characteristics that either sex exhibit if they are left to fully mature without altering their appearance. So, for example, secondary sexual characteristics might be increased musculature and facial hair on bodies with a Y chromosome, just as you would get breasts and wider hips on humans with two X chromosomes. Now, for all intents and purposes, sexual genitalia is less important for this discussion because really it is the secondary sexual characteristics of either sex that we truly use to label and differentiate humans with. Think about it. If you are walking in a store somewhere and you see a female and you are attracted to her, why is this? You have not had confirmation of her sex by seeing her vagina, so you have no authentication that this female is female. And so, what you are basing your initial attraction on is secondary characteristics. Her shape, specifically hips and breasts, her smooth appearing skin, her longer hair, her makeup, her nail polish, and perhaps her sundress. All of these are indicators, visual cues that she is female, that she embodies what society labels as feminine. though most of what we think of as female or feminine is really phony artificial augmentations to sucker males in and hook them with fakeness. Because the truth that everybody knows deep down is that she is not that tall without her heels. Her boobs are not perky at all without a bra, and her face or skin is not that colorful or smooth or flawless without 17 layers of makeup, fillers, spackle, and creams. Yet, sadly, all this artificiality has come to represent females and femininity. But, little secret here, truth be told, females, if left to mature and remain untouched by artificiality, they have hairy bodies and flawed, colorless faces, hair, and nails. Yepper, the hairy, colorless female is actually a natural secondary sexual characteristic of the human female. Look at tribal females in old issues of National Geographic. They are as unspectacular as the tribal males. However, we in the Western world and 21st century Earth have elevated the feminine and worship it. So, we paint up our deities with adornments. We augment their height, weight, and mammary size. Then, humanity hails the artificially colored and scented females as the benchmark of femininity. Woohoo! Yeah. So, back to our example. Likewise, if a female spies a male somewhere in public and she finds him attractive, well, without seeing him naked, how does she know he's male? Why, she looks at the secondary sexual characteristics. The short scalp hair, the larger facial features such as nose and jaw, facial hair, the person's general dress such as shirt and pants, and the overall shape of leaner hips and broader shoulders. These are secondary sexual characteristics of males. In essence, the secondary sexual characteristics of either sex are the natural shapes and features of either sex's specific genes and hormonal concoctions if left alone to mature and remain untouched. Hence, we can deduce that for anyone to say they are attracted to females is to say that they are attracted to feminine characteristics, and vice versa. Desiring males is desiring masculine characteristics on a human body. I say humans have exaggerated and even made up characteristics for either gender. For example, cosmetics, they do not exist on females in nature. But here comes humans who most assuredly have imagined up and made cosmetics, and then we wholly associate them as feminine. So, nature is anatomy, which is genes and genitalia. Everything else regarding the sexes is human-made and twisted. And we have absolutely constricted masculinity to a small, cramped box of what people of days gone by think that it should and should not be. Either gender is capable of being anything they want, yet traditionalism constricts either gender to play certain roles. Today, we have an amazing understanding of female and male secondary sexual characteristics, and we can now, quite effectively, make boys look like girls and girls look like boys. Well, that is, we can make either sex look like the opposite paradigm according to the boy and girl constructs of traditional society. There is such a garbled, complex world out there, with so much to make one question gender. I have been around and I've seen many things that show how fragile our concepts of gender really are. For instance, in the beginning, there was heterosexuality. Then came homosexuality. Then came trans people who were rejecting the secondary sexual characteristics of their birth sex. And coming soon to a future near you, anything will be clever when it comes to sexuality and identity. I have spent way too much time scouring the internet, and I have easily found pictures of trans females, where these females look more female than most biological females. The skin, the hair, the makeup, the breasts, yet they still have a penis and testicles. Now, were most males to see these females in public, they would most likely be just as attracted to them as they might be to biological females. That is, until they found out that she still had male plumbing. Then they would act out some exaggerated machismo disgust. But, since I like to go against the grain, I have found gender appearance nonconformity quite curious. And so I've spent time on the internet looking at pictures and reading comments and forums regarding the mingling of secondary sexual characteristics on either sex. I have looked at hundreds of pictures of everything from trans females to trans males to people that tattoo their body and believe themselves serpents or cats, with generous helpings of everything in between. I have really observed trans females, or she-males, meaning they appear absolutely female in every way. They simply have a penis and testicles. I have seen computer-generated images of females with penises attached. I have seen digitally altered pictures of actual females with penises photoshopped onto their image. I have seen Japanese-style anime of cartoon females with oversized boobs along with penis and testicles. I have seen all manner of penises on all different female images, whether CGI or real pictures that have been altered. And I realized something curious. The penis doesn't seem so evil when it is attached to a feminine image. When a person views one of these pictures and pretends that females could actually possess a penis and testicles, this temporary suspension of reality elicits the aforementioned curiosity that penis and testicles are rendered less offensive when they are attached to the image of a female body or viewed on a super hot she-male. Now, the direction of this discussion may be starting to make some uncomfortable, while others may get downright pissed about all this silly fairy talk. Now, if this stuff makes you uncomfortable, it is because you are still identified with the societal conventional constructs of masculine and feminine. You still cling to a culture that bows before gynocentric tyranny. And the blue and purple pill vaginisty pawns will feel their gynocentrically inspired homophobia rise when they find themselves even slightly intrigued with gazing at male genitalia attached to feminine characteristics. Oh yes, it's a knee-jerk reaction to act like we hate seeing male genitalia. Yet, it has been shown in some studies that straight men look at or focus on the male genitalia of any particular porn scene more than women. That's interesting. So dudes still act macho and chest thumpy, yet we are starting to learn that males are actually more preoccupied with penis than females, just as females are far more obsessed with breasts than the average male is. That's right, tradcons, we got your number. The point is, whether on a trans female or photoshopped onto a real female picture, the male genitalia seems almost soft and sweet in a surreal sort of way when it is viewed on humans with feminine characteristics. Yet, when you view a penis and testicles back onto a masculine body, well, suddenly they are offensive and disgusting once again. This is telling because it's the same male organs cast against different backgrounds. When male genitalia is cast against a believable feminine background, a shocking number of conventionally straight males find penis and testicles less vulgar. Some even find them a non-issue. Yet, when male genitalia is seen against a masculine background, it is once again disgustive and repulsive. And understand, when I say trans female or she-male, I am not talking about drag queens from the 70s or 80s, where it is an obvious male simply putting on a wig and makeup. I am not talking about clowns on the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I am referencing actual, completely believable females who are mentally saturated and committed to living this way. It's not a weekend novelty, which is what drag queens are. Guys with makeup and heels pretending to be female on a Saturday night. We have the knowledge and technology and the wherewithal to make males believable females, as well as turn females into believable males. Note I said believable, not fake and obvious. It's a whole new game out there. Yes, at first, when I started diving into all this gender-bending material, I had the standard knee-jerk, overzealous, gynocentric machismo reaction that sausage and berries were sausage and berries, and no matter who they were on, they were disgusting. But after I let all the indoctrination go, I objectively observed the mixing of human genitalia and secondary characteristics, which means I watched the old paradigms of gender crumble away in the wake of modern-day society, where humans can be or look any way they want. And immersing oneself in this wild realm of mixing genitalia with different sexual secondary characteristics, a funny thing sometimes happens. You begin to look at people as individuals, not boxed up in some one-size-fits-all gender template. And really, after a while, the only thing that came to bother me was seeing an attractive trans female that was hung better than me. And the reverse is also true. I have pored through images of trans males who are male in every aesthetical way possible, except they still have an intact vagina and uterus. These individuals have increased musculature, larger facial features, they have removed their mammaries, and they have chest hair. They even grow genuine facial hair. So they are, for all intents and purposes, masculine, and you would not know that they still had a vagina if you did not see them naked. So if a female passes a trans male in public, what females would be attracted to would be the secondary characteristics which heralds that other person as a male. Now, when I've looked at pictures of naked trans males, they absolutely look masculine except for the vagina between their legs, and I found myself not really attracted. That's interesting. So what's the problem here? I mean, if a guy is straight, he is ultimately attracted to vagina, yes? So with trans males, there is 100% USDA vagina right there. The only difference is that the vagina is attached to a masculine-looking body. The holy vagina is now cast against a masculine background. And we detest masculinity as a society, and we devalue males as a species, hence the gynocentrism. So it is safe for one to assume that I was not seduced because of these secondary masculine characteristics. Still, when looking at these trans males, I saw people, not sexual organs. And really the only time I became annoyed is when I saw a person with a vagina that was bigger and more buff than me. So we can artificially alter secondary sexual characteristics of the human animal. But there is also an entire side of natural variations of sex and appearance. For example, there are females around the world who look more like males, and there are males that are more feminine than they are masculine. I've seen females with bigger facial features than males, and I've seen males with poutier lips and longer eyelashes than any female. I have seen females that dwarf many males, and many males that have softer personalities than many females. I have heard females with deep voices and males with high-pitched, mousy voices. When I was younger, I can remember seeing elder males with almost hairless calves, as well as being kissed by elder females who had definite 5 o'clock shadows that scratched my young face. I have known female bodybuilders and powerlifters that were more muscular than most males, as well as males that had hair or butts that would make most females green with envy. I have seen females that wore makeup just to tell everybody that she was female, otherwise you would not know. And I have seen males who grew beards just to compensate for their overtly feminine features. All day long, you could look around and observe females with all manner of manly features, and males with all manner of girly features. There really is no independent, by-the-book, one-size-fits-all masculinity or femininity. There are so many natural variations of human features, as well as artificial gradations of appearance between the two, that it boggles the mind, and rightfully so. Because resolute masculinity or femininity are repressive girdles that stymie human creativity and exploration. I love seeing the waters of gender muddied. I love seeing all constructs of sexuality, sexual characteristics, and social paradigm turned on their head, because this serves my purpose. How? Well, we must first devalue that which we intend to dispose of. And thus, we use gender, namely secondary characteristics, to identify the expendable males from the crucial, vital, non-expendable females. We use gender, which is identification with secondary characteristics, to mock males, to defame males, to belittle males, and ultimately to devalue males. So anything that throws a monkey wrench into male devaluation and disposability, I like. The dogma of bygone days preaches sexuality and physical attraction as black and white. Well, I say it is far more complicated than anyone concedes. Yes, perhaps by the book genitalia is fairly resolute. A penis and testicles, vagina and mammaries. One or the other. This seems fairly straightforward, black and white. Procreation influences heterosexuality. Penises seek vaginas in order to conceive. Then, after that, males are emotionally drawn to the fragile female and motherly archetypes in order to provide protection. This drives heterosexuality. Yet, beyond procreation, it becomes rather obvious that physical attraction is influenced by nurture or social indoctrination. I guess what it really comes down to is, what are you more attracted to? Sexual characteristics or sexual organs? If you fastidiously follow sexual organs, then it shouldn't matter if a female looks male. She has the organs that you insist upon. And as such, I do know some males that are attracted to plain females who wear no makeup or have short hair, even crew cuts, or hairy unshaven bodies. I also know chicks that are attracted to males that wear makeup or are softer, yet both of these examples are still technically straight. These are folks in whom genitalia is more important than secondary indicators of masculine or feminine. Then there are innumerable numbers of people that find more importance in secondary characteristics than reproductive anatomy. I have read so many stories on forums or blogs of straight people who found themselves attracted to unconventional individuals, such as straight females who have met a trans male and found themselves attracted. It really didn't matter that this trans guy still had a vagina. He was masculine in every way possible, and the secondary indicators were obviously more important than the actual between the legs genitalia. So too have I come across straight guys who have observed or met a trans female and found themselves attracted to her because she had all the outward markers of femininity that these guys apparently agreed with. Perhaps she was alluring and gorgeous in every way possible. Maybe she even has a fun or sweet personality. So the fact that she still has a penis and testicles was a non-issue. You also see this blatant preference for secondary characteristics in the homosexual community as well. There are guys who are attracted to masculine-looking guys and guys who are attracted to drag queens. There are lesbians who are attracted to masculine-looking butches and other females who are attracted to feminine-looking lesbians, aka the lipstick lesbians. And, in fact, there are gradations of masculinity attraction in the gay community, meaning there are degrees of masculinity that a gay male is attracted to. Some guys like the soft, limp-wrist gay man. Some like the more prep school, clean-cut looking male. Others like the rugged, brokeback mountain cowboy type male. And some like the extremely hairy, bearded lumberjack type male. These same degrees go for females and femininity, where females are attracted to everything from dainty, typically high-maintenance females, to the average, plain tomboy types, to the butch lesbians with crew cuts and hairy legs, all the way to trans males, who pretty much are male except that they still have a vagina. So, if you really observe human attraction aside from strict procreation, sexual desire is all about the degree of secondary sexual characteristics that you are attracted to, what you will and will not accept aesthetically. Saying that secondary characteristics seem to eclipse genitalia is a bold statement, because we have lived under conventionality for some time, which assumes that sexual attraction comes from a desire to procreate, and that determines what sexual anatomy that you are instinctually drawn to. If you have an outie, then you need to find an innie. If you have an innie, then you need to seek an outie. And thus assuming procreation is the most important priority to humanity, hence sexual preference is already predetermined. Meaning you are born to procreate. Thus you are born heterosexual, because you seek the opposite reproductive organs to what you possess to make procreation possible. Thus, heterosexuality is born and driven by instinct. Yet, with procreation off the table, or with procreation a secondary consideration, human sexuality is every variation and gradation that one can think of. So, as one might assume, the nature procreation paradigm is still applicable in many cases, meaning that attraction to sexual anatomy is paramount. Finding opposing reproductive organs is critical. Everything else stems from that. This translates to reproduction-minded males are attracted to breasts and vagina, and everything else is details. Some males in some parts of the world may find breasts and vagina that come in super painted up high-maintenance females. Other males in other parts of the world may find vagina and uterus that comes in a plain unshaven package, like a polygamous housewife or a tribal member. Exterior appearance doesn't matter. If a male seeks procreation, then he merely needs a functioning uterus and mammaries. The rest of the female's looks are really inconsequential. She might look like a princess or a troll. So long as she is reproduction capable, the female's secondary looks are trivial details. The same is true for females. If they are reproduction-minded, then they seek out a penis and semen first and foremost, and then they can haggle over the rest of the details later. Some females may find penis attached to a guy that looks like a lumberjack. Other females, in other places, might find a penis in the form of a Harvard graduate businessman. And some may end up with penises affixed to feminine-looking dudes. Whatever. If he has a functional sperm delivery system, then everything else is pale in importance. Yes, many females look for fit, attractive males because this underscores good genetic lineage. Yet when it comes down to either reproduction with an inferior male or no reproduction at all, well, in times of scarcity, of course, females will reproduce with any ejaculating male that they can find. This has been the traditional procreative template of the human creature since time immemorial. You merely find the sexual genitalia you need to produce many copies of yourself, then you haggle over the details of her hair or his beard later. However, the new paradigm I observe emerging is that really, attraction in many cases is sexual characteristics first, genitalia second, meaning you look for masculine or feminine cues, such as a sweet, painted-up girly girl with big boobs first and foremost. What's between her legs is secondary. What? No, this sounds crazy, huh? Well, I am not the only one observing these societal occurrences. Apparently, more and more people are realizing the complexity of human desire. So, let's throw out a few mental curveballs to twist you further, so that you might begin to see the infinite shades of gray that the human creature comes in. Okay, gentlemen, let's think. Are you attracted to a fake, made-up girly girl, or a plain female? If you are attracted to the made-up female, then you are announcing the importance of traditional secondary female sexual characteristics. If any old average plain tribal female is cool with you, then you are simply following your priorities, which lie with searching out the sexual organs first and foremost. Okay. Would you rather be with a super built bodybuilding female or a plain Jane female who doesn't shave her armpits? Would you rather have a feminine female who was bald or a tomboy female with pretty hair and big hairy legs? Would you rather have a hot supermodel that had a deep voice and a vulgar vocabulary, or a sweet demure female that had masculine facial features? Are you starting to see the various gradations of bodies that vaginas are attached to? It simply becomes a matter of what secondary characteristics you can live with. And the dichotomy is that many people can be attracted to seemingly opposing looks at the same time, or depending on the day, the temperature, and which way the wind is blowing. Some guys may find themselves attracted to masculine-looking bodybuilder females one day, and then attracted to flat-chested granola girls with unshaven legs the next day, and then a typical voluptuous Jessica Rabbit Playboy model the following day. By the same token, many females fantasize about everything from bull dykes to she-males, to choir boys, to lumberjack alligator wrestling type males. Most people are capable of many various attractions simultaneously. Yes, people do have a favorite type, a favorite look that they are attracted to more often than not. But humans are curious and want to try a variety of options, which is another reason that monogamy does not resonate with most humans. Because, well, so much variety, so little time. Let's say a chick that you are attracted to puts on a fake beard and asks you to kiss her. Could you do it and still be attracted to her knowing that she was female underneath? Or would the fake beard, which is a masculine indicator, kill all your desire for a smooch? If you really had to choose, would you choose a female that looks like a male or a male that looked like a female? No, really, think about that. Would you choose a trans male who was male in every aesthetical way? He had facial hair, masculine hairy chests and legs, deepened voice, I mean the whole 9 yards. He simply still had a vagina. Or would you choose a trans female who was female or feminine appearing in every way possible, with soft, beautiful skin and luxuriant hair, with large breasts? She was authentic and believable in every way that we think of femininity. She simply still had a penis and testicles. Well, of course, with a gun to their head, most guys would begrudgingly choose the manly female rather than the feminine male. But with such examples, you begin to see the difference between reproductive genitalia and secondary sexual characteristics, or physical indicators of gender. Anatomy and physical features or identification can be complete opposites. You see, we do not live in a black and white world of sexuality. We live in an existence based upon appearances, where sexual anatomy outside of procreation is starting to take a back seat to aesthetic gender characteristics. An increasing number of males are moving beyond procreation and looking at sexual characteristics and inner emotion over genitalia. Now, don't misconstrue my points. I'm not saying you can talk yourself into attractions that you don't have, yet I am not saying that you can't either. I am simply seeking to demonstrate that sexuality and gender are more fluid than most people want to admit. And now that we can make boys look like girls and girls look like boys, now we are starting to realize how constrictive the either-or paradigm really is. You are either male or female, vanilla or chocolate, Republican or Democrat. Hey, how about we scrap all these baloney paradigms and just be creative and look for inner beauty? How does that sound? Psst, yeah, right. Oh yes, I am talking loads of crazy now. And of course, I must be a closeted fairy with all this chatter. Yeah, duh. Of course, I am a Fruit Loop already, because I do not prostrate myself before the divine feminine. I am too busy complaining about the injustices against males. So, yeah, I guess this would be the kind of talk that you would expect from some gay dude who preaches male empowerment on the internet. Oh, yeah, and I hate women, and I've been hurt, and I will probably die alone. Anyhow, let's throw in another monkey wrench here. So, since females are gynocentric, one might suppose that if they were to get with a trans female, then that male might finally get the reciprocation of caring that they truly desire, because this trans female was born with male genitalia. So that means essentially she would not be hypergamous or gynocentric, since she was not biologically programmed with those instincts, right? If guys truly and freely love and protect those that they love, then guys getting with guys or former guys, this would be the answer, right? Where males would get loving reciprocation from another person who is also designed to love and protect, rather than get with a partner that is programmed to take from you and then move on. This sounds logical, doesn't it? Well, yeah, not so much. I observe that when a male transitions to a female, he adopts female entitlement as well as feminine appearance. In fact, some trans females, or even gay males, take female narcissism and entitlement to extremes, and they become even more haughty, high maintenance, and demanding than most biological females. You may as well go for a biological female who is less flamboyant in their mannerisms and pampering expectations. Trans females and many gay males want to get on the female victim narrative and privilege vacuum bandwagon, which is why homosexuality and feminism are found cavorting more often than not. And this helps explain why many gay males are brazen and bold with their self-centered preoccupation. So this means that if females, gay males, and trans females take on the role of taker in relationships, then males, trans males, or butch females must be the givers and take on the protector-provider role, which necessarily accompanies their masculine appearance. And many a trans male or butch lesbian finds out what it's like to be treated as a utility because they appear masculine. Yet, lesbians and trans males are only devalued around females. They are still female with female plumbing, and thus they are still valued higher than biological males. So when any vagina, whether straight, trans, or gay, is cast next to any penis, the vagina still wins a value contest. So lesbians and trans males are only treated like utilities until they pull their uterus card over actual biological males. Now, this begs the question, does biology inform beliefs of worth? Meaning, does genitalia inform your opinions of human worth? Well, I know of trans females that speak out against male devaluation, whereas I am unaware of any trans males that speak against male disposability. Because, well, trans males still have a uterus card to play if they get into a social bind. And really, what part does either trans individual play in male empowerment, aside from being a human concerned about the mistreatment of other humans? So we have sexual anatomy, sexual characteristics, and sexual social psychological paradigms and constructs of sexual appearance and preferences. And then don't forget, of course, that there is the instinctual drive for procreation. This is not a simple issue in any form. However, the bottom line is this. What we can be sure of is that humans with male genitalia and masculine characteristics will be devalued and disposed of. Now, I find that many in male spheres are staunch traditionalists who adhere to archaic rules of gender. They are attached to and defend traditional masculinity. They are patriarch preachers who want the old constructs to return, where males looked male and females looked female. Such conservatives are attached to the definitions of masculine and feminine that they were taught all their lives, where females are smaller, softer, demure, and sweet, and where males are larger, stronger, aesthetically plain protectors who do all the providing for the females. This is the masculinity that tradcons cry in their Cheerios about society losing. But really, masculinity and femininity are such fluid concepts and can be changed just as easily as we can modify the secondary sexual characteristics of either sex to look like the opposite. What is attractive, what is sexy, what is masculine or feminine has changed from culture to culture and from century to century. In some places and times and cultures, it was sexy for females to bind their feet or to put elongating rings around their neck. This was feminine and hot. Other cultures deem it acceptable for males to be straight and hold hands with one another in public, while still other cultures found normality with males who had homosexual relations while being straight, having a family, and this was considered normal, not deviant. Yes, humans are both quite complicated, yet they are simple. The simple part is, if you have a uterus, you have more value than anyone with testicles. The complication comes with desire, and it would seem that attraction is cued by sexual characteristics. But when we mix genitalia with various physical features, what are the life value implications here? Are females with a penis and testicles less expendable than males with a penis and testicles? Is a trans female more valuable than a construction worker? If you happen to be viewing a trans female and a trans male through a sniper scope and had to choose one, who would it be? The traditionally minded individual would obviously choose the one that appears to be male, even though in this example, that masculine-looking person technically still has a vagina. So should you be hung from the nearest tree for offing a biological female and sparing a biological male based upon their appearance? If a female wants to look like a male and not produce kids, is she now as expendable as an actual masculine male? You see, if we do not value human life equal across the board, we run into all this bigoted triage over the value of human life, and who is more or less expendable according to their anatomy and appearance. Gender really is a joke. It is outdated indoctrination of appearance and behavior. Now, I am not saying anything about what you should or should not be attracted to, or how you should or should not physically appear yourself. I am saying there is so much ignorance, hypocrisy, double standards, superficiality, and outright hostility for nonconformists when it comes to gender or traditional masculinity and femininity. My war is against all those who would devalue testicles and penis no matter what the rest of the body looks like. I rail against those that are made to be slaves, to provide labor and protection for uteruses, and the society that worships these uteruses. And then these slaves are simply tossed aside when they are past their expiration date. Yet, at the end of the day, I think that we elevate and denigrate folks based upon the latest societal definitions of masculine and feminine, biased definitions that tradcon males hold on to, definitions of gender that have them despising males who do not conform, such as hipsters or emo or goth dudes, or males with softer lines and features, or guys with long hair, etc. Such males do not meet the aesthetic criteria or fit the definitions of masculine that tradcons were taught, and that they so wholeheartedly identify with and believe in. Definitions which cast males as plain, ugly, hairy, burping, farting protectors and providers who are rough, crude, stoic handymen with short hair and even shorter mental capacity. This is merely the latest societal definition of masculine. Whereas a mere few hundred years ago, males wore powdered wigs and tights, and back then, that was masculine. Today, masculine is a chest-thumping dude with a beard who goes around abusing other males, mocking the male anatomy, and enabling the uterine-equipped population to be spoiled privilege vacuums. Apparently, most people are too ignorant to see that we devalue those humans that adhere to this definition of masculinity, the same definition that tradcons want everybody to conform to. And if people would just play according to these rules, then somehow the feminist genie would go back into the bottle and civilizations would go back to the illusion that this definition of masculinity is feared, respected, and that they rule the world. I really think that our current devaluation of males is not so much against actual penis and testicles, but rather is against masculinity as conservatism defines it, where the average male looks and acts as males currently do, where evil and debauchery is associated with masculine, and all sweetness, softness, and nurturing are associated with feminine. Whew. Wow, there is a lot to digest here. But once again, I think our hatred boils down to ideas. Our disgust towards males is our disgust towards what we think masculinity is, or the latest definition that we cling to. I am fond of thinking of masculinity as some version of beauty mixed with the Spartan warriors of 300. Yet today, masculinity is imbued as ignorant, stupid, vulgar, oppressive, unsightly man-toddlers in plain, hairy, burping, farting, bulbous, unsightly bodies who really are laughably obsolete and irrelevant in the wake of femininity, which is touted as stronger, smarter, more talented, and just downright better than anything masculine. Our current idea of feminine is, well, they can do everything, and in order to make elevation and devaluation possible, humanity does indeed associate the deeper aspects of life with gender. We associate goodness, purity, caring, innocence, and nurturing with feminine, and we associate violence, crudity, evil, depravity with masculine. The problem with all of this is that we have come to associate all manner of negativity with masculine and positivity with feminine. And so no matter what appearance anyone with penis and testicles takes on, they are still seen as worth less than those with uteruses and vaginas. It still comes down to humans with testicles are worth less than humans with a uterus, no matter what exterior appearances they adopt. Look around, observe the human creature and the already new emerging paradigm of gender. See the myriad variations of behavior and appearance that already surround you. Traditional masculinity and femininity are not in danger of falling apart. They already fell apart long ago, and now humans are playing sexuality and gender by ear as we search for something new, something different, something else, besides this abusive two-party system of male and female. You will also see that males that denounce all this fairy stuff and disapprove of all this aesthetic liberty that I have mentioned herein, these tradcons pine away for the same paradigm of masculinity that many in the male spheres rally a return to. The type of good old boy, clean-cut, hairy-legged 1940s or 50s version of masculinity and femininity that so many in male spaces have adopted as the model of how males, all males, should look, think, and behave. This outdated, woefully narrow-minded version of what males could and should be, this, as well as any version of masculinity or femininity, is so fragile, and the illusion of appearance or gender utterly begins to crumble when a female decides to shave the side of her head and become a UFC fighter, or when a male decides to take female hormones and get a boob job and live trans with her male plumbing intact. This upheaval against conventional conformity has been a long time coming, and I welcome it. I welcome the obliteration of the societies that gynocentrism has established, whether through patriarchy or feminism. Both are constrictive and repressive to the personal, free expression of any human being. I have had everything leveled at me. I have been called a manly man on the one hand, and on the other, I have heard one female tell another that I was more feminine than they were. And you know what? I'm fine with both comments, for I am both. I am neither, and I am far beyond anything anyone could understand, as are all of you. We are all both, male and female, and we are neither, and we are far beyond what both offer. So what if straight males suddenly decided that it was cool and masculine to put on makeup or wear kilts to work? Suddenly, we would have to see masculinity in a new way, rather than simply a construct of ugliness and oppression. I welcome a place where any human can look any way that they desire, male, female, both, or neither, and nobody would give a rat's ass. The only reason we insist on aesthetic differences between the sexes is so that we can easily spot the shovels from the goddesses. If anybody looked any way that they wanted, then we couldn't immediately spot the uteruses from the testicles. And this may lead to a terrible thing. Treating others based upon their equal human worth and not upon the reproductive anatomy or the secondary sexual characteristics that they display aesthetically. Ooh, yeah, I know, there was a lot of conjecture and speculation contained herein, but I merely wish to address and hypothesize what I am seeing in everyday culture, where traditional masculinity and femininity, male and female appearance, is morphing. Maybe the human collective subconsciously realizes the inequity fueled by the exaggerations of gender, and we are all starting to experiment. Some are simply trying to mix gender by sculpting a masculine body that still has a vagina, or a feminine-looking body that still has a penis. Sexuality is just black and white, that manly males are attracted to feminine females, and that's how it is. But it really is not that simple, nor will it ever be. People that adhere to traditionalism always like to spout, "We should celebrate our differences." Well, that simply encourages the embracing of prejudice that necessarily accompanies those differences. And I see more and more people that apparently reject this sentiment, as I see more and more people trying to reconcile the male and female within themselves. And an obvious extension of this is to try merging male and female physically and aesthetically as well. And I welcome the dissolution of gender. Now, many will posit that the breakdown of gender would be chaos and mental entropy. Well, I think that most people, trans, gay, bi, most people are in control of their faculties, and they are quite sane. They simply long to express themselves in new creative ways. Ways that traditionalism calls gay and mentally diseased. But who is more mentally unstable? The conservative, traditional, by-the-book conformist male who is so confined to gynocentrism and miserable that they turn to vice or take out their frustrations on loved ones, or the guy who is sick of societal injustice and gender constriction to the point that he may try on female lingerie or makeup or take some hormones to actually grow breasts? Who is merely trying new avenues of aesthetic expression, and who is a ticking time bomb of God, honor, duty, country, family? We need to see past externals and look to a person's character, their heart. We have been judging people based upon their appearance since time began. And look where we are. We are hate-filled, violent, and prejudiced. So apparently, judging people based upon externals is not working, and assigning life worth based upon genitalia or secondary sexual characteristics is not working either. Just a little food for thought. My friends, break free and realize that no matter your appearance, no matter your anatomy, your life is as valuable as any other, period. Stand with me, live free.